Hello again, everybody. This is Cannabis Podcasters once again coming to you, and hope you enjoyed our initial premiere broadcast yesterday. We certainly enjoyed giving it to you. And one of the things we wanted to do, as we talked about, is be a little different than a lot of podcasts or podcasters out there, in that we're certainly going to cover the products, the recreational aspect, the fun of it, what products to choose and how to choose them. That's a major part of what we're doing here. But we're also going to do something quite a bit different than a lot of other podcasters. We're going to look at the business side of cannabis marketing and cannabis in general, and provide you with some insights of why things are being done and how things are being done. And just so there's no mistaking this, and I'm sure no one has any misunderstanding, cannabis is a huge, huge market. I mean, look at this. In 2019, this year, is estimated to be $13.38 billion. That's with a B, $1 billion in revenue. Okay, that's a total of, in the U.S. alone, not Canada, not Mexico, and certainly not any illegal activity anywhere else in the world. But this is just in the U.S. market, $13.38 billion. Okay, about half of that is for the recreational marketplace. So this is a huge, huge, huge business. And we really want to kind of talk about how that all plays out, because it's still not regulated. I mean, it still is regulated in many, many states. I mean, this right here gives you an idea of what it looks like as far as what's legal and what is not legal. So you can see in the green, it's legalized for recreational and medical marijuana. And in the blue, it's legalized for medical marijuana. There's still a lot of gray there where these states do not recognize or allow for the sale. It's still illegal. You can still go to jail in many of these states by having and selling marijuana. So, when you're a marketer and you're trying to advertise and to grow your cannabis business, it gets a little sticky. It's much easier in Canada because Canada, of course, is not regulated. I mean, Canada has accepted the sale of cannabis. And so we're going to take a look at this. And before I go any farther, I want to say, if you're enjoying this kind of broadcast, if you feel it's of value to you, please subscribe. Please tell your friends about it. Please share it on social media. We are beholden to you to help get the word out, to help grow this channel. And honestly, I'm looking forward to doing a lot of great things with your help and cooperation. So we're going to take a look at the cannabis marketing right now. In future editions, we're going to take and dissect what individual companies are doing and talking about how they're being successful versus some of their competitors. But we want to today talk about the basic. We want to talk about cannabis marketing 101. What can be done, what can't be done, because most of the marketing in today's world, or a large part of it, is digital marketing. Well, digital marketing isn't restricted, obviously, by territory. I advertise something in digital and Facebook. It's going to go, unless I control, it's going to go throughout the United States. If I advertise some Google AdWords, certainly I control certain aspects, but by and large, it's not going to stop at a state line. And so what you need to do is you need to take a look at those laws and make sure you're in compliance with the advertising. So Cannabis 101. The first thing we want to talk about is Google Ads. Google AdWords is a huge way for e-commerce companies and non-e-commerce companies to market their products, get product awareness, and actually sell their products across the nation, across the world. Well, don't look for Google AdWords just yet if you're planning to be marketing your cannabis products. It's not going to help you. Google AdWords, and here's the ad policy right there with the URL, they put restrictions on advertising promotion of recreational drugs. They specifically mention marijuana. You cannot advertise use that Google AdWords for advertising cannabis-related products, or even things that are products or services marketed as facilitating the recreational route. So pipes and bongs, cannabis coffee shops, your dispensary, all these things which normally would be available to most businesses, you're not available here. So you have to find a different way to advertise other than Google AdWords. Okay, what else? Let's see. Facebook, obviously, Facebook is huge, Facebook advertising. And honestly, up until late last year, Facebook precluded any ads dealing with cannabis or marijuana. But on October 11th, it announced it will allow marijuana advertising via cannabis-related pages for verified organizations. What does this mean? Well, first off, you have to have a special designation, a Facebook gray ad. And it's got to it'll be searchable. Your page will be searchable for terms such as cannabis and marijuana. But they do still place restrictions on actually paid advertisements and what that looks like. And so you cannot explicitly mention that a product or sale, trade, or delivery. You can ask someone to buy a product. You cannot list a product price. I mean, these are things you cannot do. So it's still It's still not up where you need it to be as far as Facebook advertising. It's allowing you to promote your page a little bit, allow you to get some brand awareness out there, but you still are not going to be having Facebook sales coming out of your Facebook ads. And obviously, any business, the true test of success is getting sales. So be aware of that. That for a digital marketer, you have restrictions on what you can do, and Facebook's just not going to let you publish them. So be careful about that. You also must comply with applicable state laws. And because there are still many, many states that do not allow for the advertising or promotion or sale of cannabis, you are going to have some issues there for you as well. Twitter. Love Twitter. What's the policy? Twitter prohibits the promotion of drugs and drug paraphernalia, period. That includes recreational and herbal drugs. You cannot do this, okay, except if you're in Canada. You got to love our Canadian friends. They get it and they understand it. In Canada, in general, advertisers are prohibited from promoting cannabis content, but there are ways of doing some cannabis-related advertising with these restrictions. So if you are in Canada and you're promoting to Canadian consumers in Canada, there is a way of doing certain cannabis-related ads on Twitter. But again, read the instructions, understand, and be in compliance, because it doesn't apply across all of Canada, such as in Quebec or Quebec residents. You can't do it. So again, pay attention, know what you're doing. Pinterest ads, okay? They do not allow the advertising, the sale of illegal or recreational drugs or information materials about legalization of recreational drugs. So don't even talk about promoting legalization on that from advertising. You're not going to get it. When you get to Snapchat, ads that encourage illegal activity or any illegal conduct, product, or enterprise is prohibited. Simple and straightforward. However, the company does allow ads promoting hemp and CBD only byproducts of cannabis that do not contain THC. It does also allow organic content containing information about cannabis that are artistic or educational. And that is a key phrase, people. Organic content containing information about cannabis or artistic or educational. You're going to find, if you go back to Twitter, if you go back to some of these other channels we talked about, if you are posting information about cannabis that is not selling it, but just educational, informational, things that are just, talking more about the lifestyle and not paid advertisement, but organic content, you're going to be able to get some of that up there. But that is not paid advertising, which is what we're talking about here. So my point is, when you do demand generation, when you go out and try to bring new eyes to your website, or new eyes to your product, or build brand awareness, there are typical ways of doing it. One is creating great organic content. Stuff you create, new content, could be images, could be video, could be written blogs, articles, infographics. That is one thing, but that is not paid advertising. That's creating great content, putting it out there on the internet. We're going to talk about that, letting people find you and navigate back to your site to learn about who you are and why should they care about your particular cannabis products. Let's also talk about YouTube, because obviously that is something which we are using right now to communicate with you. YouTube advertising. Community guidelines do not specifically state that you can't post content about cannabis. Good, because we are, okay? It does stipulate that harmful or dangerous content is prohibited, okay? So again, keep that in mind. How you present something is equally important about what you're saying. Does say YouTube Help does say video content that promotes illegal drugs or dangerous products or substances not suitable for advertising. However, you are allowed to share videos that discuss such substances for educational, documentary, and artistic purpose, as long as it does not glorify illegal or dangerous use of the product. There is your key phrase. You can post videos such as we're doing, videos about your product, describing your product, as long as you do not promote illegal activity or illegal drugs or dangerous products or something like that. You cannot, you have to be careful what the content you create, but you can create original content, share it on YouTube, and get some brand awareness. It's a little different than actually, again, having an ad where buy it here. You can't do that. But again, there are two phases of advertised promotion. One is for the sale, to get the sales. The other is to build brand awareness. YouTube can be very impactful in building brand awareness for your cannabis products. Just do it carefully. So that is the general guidelines for when I point out demand generation, because a lot of people, when they think of digital advertising, digital marketing, they think of, hey, paid ads. And that is certainly a major part. In reality, it's not going to be that big of a part right now for cannabis. You are still going to use digital marketing. You're still going to create great content. You're still going to have a website that's optimized, and you're still going to have, brand awareness being built. But the e-commerce functionality obviously does not work outside if it's illegal in your state, and even where it's not, you're not going to have paid advertisement in certain these social channels because they preclude it. So you got to be smarter. You got to operate smarter if you're in this industry. LinkedIn. I almost forgot about LinkedIn. LinkedIn advertising, okay? And again, even if legal in applicable jurisdiction, LinkedIn does not allow ads related to drugs or any related products or services. But what you can do on LinkedIn is you can have a video, you can have a communication, an article that talks about the state of the industry. It talks about certain aspects of, cannabis and cannabis products. You have to be very careful how you do it. You're just not going to get any paid advertisements, but you still can get away with posting out some educational, informational, the same guidelines you used up here. It has to be something that is for educational, documentary, and artistic purpose, does not glorify illegal or dangerous use of the products. Use that as a sort of a guidepost for anything you want to create and share on social media, because you do want to share on social media, I promise you. Well, that is the state of the world of digital paid advertising. So what does that leave? What's left? What can we do? What's possible? Well, let's talk about this, because Cannabis Marketing 101 is alive and well. How to grow your cannabis brand. We're going to talk in very general terms here, get to be more specific as we go through each of the individual companies and dissect what they're doing. But we're going to talk in general terms right now, what should be done. First thing, research your market and consumers. Folks, marketing for cannabis is no different than marketing for any other product. You have to know who your targeted buyer personas are. You have to know their pain points, concerns, and interests. You have to know where they go for information and education and third-party verification. And you have to know what content they need to see in order to feel good about purchasing your product over somebody else's, and how and where they go to find that information. That has to be done. That comes through market research. That comes through identifying your targeted buyer personas, having interviews with them, and having interviews with people who no longer are your customers, and finding out what information they need to see, where they need to see it in order to make that purchasing decision. That doesn't change. That is a mainstay. And so you go through this discovery and assessment, you do the interviews, you do the analysis, and you will start identifying what you need to see, what format it needs to be looked at. For example, video versus infographics versus written text. You need to understand all that in order to be impactful and effective. So that's the first thing, research your market and consumers. Optimizing your website. Boy, I can't tell you how many companies don't follow the number 2 rule, optimize website. They have a website, but it either loads too slow, it's not optimized for mobile, they haven't optimized for on-page SEO, they haven't done the fundamentals. Get the fundamentals right. Your website should be optimized for user experience. It should be optimized for SEO, search engine optimization. It should be optimized for search. It should be optimized for keywords. It should be optimized the foundational elements. That doesn't change. That is basic, and it should be a mobile first website, because obviously the generation and the people you want to attract are going to mostly be using their smartphones in order to research, find out, and figure out what they need to do. Create great, compelling content. I mean, this is the mainstay. This is performance SEO. If I can't do any paid advertisements, I'm going to create my own content in the form of blogs, in the form of infographics, in the form of videos, and I'm going to make sure it's interesting, entertaining, and compelling. Okay? It's a must. And you're going to know what to create by doing your research that you did in number 1. Distribute the content. You can have the best content in the world. It could absolutely be optimized for SEO, optimized for keywords, optimized for what your user needs to targeted buyer personas need to see. But if you don't distribute that content where they go for information and third-party verification, you will not capture new eyes. So that's the key. Distribute the content. And that's going to be distributed through social media. It's going to be put in your blogs. it's going to be shared. And if you do the kind of content which is educational for artistic purposes or what we talked about before, that will be the kind of content that you could post pretty much anywhere, and have that content then have a backlink to your website in order to get and garner traffic. And of course, if you do this, you're also going to find that you're going to get some search engine love, and that when the people are searching for particular content that's related to the content you created, Google's going to share up your information with them, and that's going to lead them back to your website. Advertise in non-mainstream publications. So you've got, Weeds, you've got Leafy, you've got all sorts of third party, you've got lots of magazines that deal with the cannabis community. These are places you can advertise. These are places you can promote. Some of them allow for digital advertising on their particular page. Some allow you to have co-branded emails where they will send an email out to their list under their name about your product. So there's lots of ways to advertise in non-mainstream publications that are ideally targeted to your buyer personas. Find those, take advantage of those. That's huge, people. This is one of the ways you're going to get around and get the right people. Non-digital alternatives. Again, a lot of us use digital marketing as a mainstay. It is not, many of us have been around in the day where marketing was more than just digital, and you have to pay attention here. This is critical in the cannabis community. So things like radio, billboards, promotional items, and events will be ways that you can get new eyes and new people engaged with your product. Pay attention to those. They work. Video marketing. I put this separately, even though it could arguably be part of distribute the or create great compelling content, because you're going to find that video marketing is a must. It is far more impactful. It's going to engage people far better, but make it fun, make it interesting, make it educational, make it something that people want to share, okay, to their friends and to the people they have social influence with. This is how, this is very important. And you're going to start seeing this goes down to number 8. Number 8 is the key here, influencer marketing. There are many, many people out there who have a social reach to people who are your targeted buyer personas, but they've got a far greater social reach than you do. You need to identify who these people are, and you need to get these people to be part of your marketing efforts. There's many ways to create and engage influencers, identify who they are, figure out how to get them to be sharing them. Some are through paid means, some are through not. I mean, I do a lot of influencer marketing through, I don't give anything to the influencer to share the content we want them to share, because it's such great content, it helps them provide a resource to their social media community. So again, we're going to talk in the future things about micro, macro, and mega influencers and how to engage them for the cannabis community. It's going to be huge, coming up as one of our feature discussions. But right now, I just want to put it out there that influencer marketing is one of the keys that you need to be looking at. So again, we've kind of went through this pretty quickly, and the whole point of this today was just to give a very top of the funnel, if you will, information about cannabis marketing, what you can do for paid demand generation, and what the alternatives are out there. I'd love to hear what you're doing. I'd love to get your feedback. If you think I'm wrong on some of this, share with me. If you have other ways that we haven't identified, please share them. If you had some great success stories, this is a great time to promote that and let us know where they are. We'd love to follow up with this. So we're going to be doing every Monday, as I mentioned, a more in-depth view. We're going to do some general things such as influencer marketing, show you how they work, show how video marketing works as far as in the cannabis community. We're also going to be dissecting individual companies, what they're doing. And so I wanted to give you this primer, this foundational elements here, just so you know the framework, the foundation we're building upon. So I appreciate you taking the time today. And what I would ask is, if you enjoyed this, please comment, please share it, and please subscribe. We earn our success for those people to subscribe. So we want you to be one of our influencers and share this with your social reach. Thank you very much. Until tomorrow, when we're coming back with my favorite day of the week, which is going to be testing and tasting a cannabis product. And we're going to come back tomorrow with that as well. So until then, smoke up.